All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in again. Tuning in? That's not right. Listening again to the Roast It Yourself podcast by Coffee Bean Corral and Current Crop Roasting Shop. I'm Stephen Burnett. I work at Coffee Bean Corral. I do coffee roasting and quality control, and I write the weekly emails as well. And
I am Catherine Mansell. I'm the director of Current Crop Roasting Shop in New Orleans, and I'm also a certified Q Arabica grader. So I am the coffee buyer. So coffees get sent in. I grade them, test them out, and see if we're going to carry them.
yeah, so you write the notes on the coffee too. Like you're okay,
Yeah.
the note person. You wonder where the notes come from. That's where the notes come from, right there. Yeah, and so we started this, and so we could answer questions. We get a lot of questions that come through from amateur roasters, first-time roasters, professional roasters that have started their business up. And they have specific questions about different things, and we wanted a forum to answer those, and so we can share the knowledge, share what we know, share what we've heard, share what we've learned with you guys. So thanks again for listening and watching. And if, by the way, if you're just listening, the watching is not that great of an experience. I don't think you're not really missing a whole lot, so you can keep listening. So today we have a couple of questions that are about the same thing. They're about Robusta coffee, as opposed to Arabica or other varietals of coffee. Some questions about Robusta, so we're going to answer those kind of because of the same topic at the same time. The first question is, I was trying to source Arabica decaf coffee, but I'm having trouble determining which of your coffees are Arabica. This was directed at Coffee Bean Corral. Because the description of most of your beans doesn't actually tell me what cultivar is used, and when I search Arabica decaf, I get results that include Robusta in the title. Is there a way to tell me which of your decaf beans are or are not Arabica? Thank you. The Coffee Bean Corral, I'll speak to that. Coffee Bean Corral's website, we label any coffee that is not Arabica, we will label it Robusta. If it doesn't say Arabica or Robusta, it's Arabica.
Yeah.
So that's how you know. In fact, I think we only have a couple of coffees that, not even a full handful, just like one or two coffees that are Robustas.
Yeah.
We've carried more at different times depending on availability, but you can with confidence know that the coffee you're buying from Coffee Bean Corral is specialty grade, and it is Arabica coffee unless it is labeled in the name Robusta.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very clear in the label, and we do it at Current Crop as well. Every coffee that we sell is Arabica coffee, minus the one Robusta that we carry,
Right.
and in the name it says Robusta.
Right. And what is the relationship between the specialty grade and Robusta?
Well, I have never evaluated a specialty grade Robusta coffee. Most of the coffees that we carry, the grading system that I use for Arabica beans does not transfer over to Robusta. Now, there are many farms around the world that are working to produce specialty grade Robusta coffees, and there are Q graders that are specific to Robusta. So I know there are some out there. I've seen a couple of price tags on those specialty grade Robustas, and they're quite a pretty penny. But I've never actually tasted one.
Yeah. Well, and the ones we have tasted, the Robustas we have tasted, leave a little something to be desired in the flavor profile department.
Just a little bit. They're great to use in blends.
Yeah.
If you are dialing in your espresso machine and you want some crema that lasts a long time for you to take some pictures of, what have you.
Right.
If you create a espresso shot of Arabica and then make an espresso shot with Robusta, if you're looking at them, the Robusta crema will last significantly longer than the Arabica.
Yeah, and the other benefit, and this is probably the main, well, outside of some of the agricultural stuff, one of the main benefits to the Robusta is that it has twice the caffeine as an Arabica, which is why you see it popping up in blends in these kind of like jolt you awake, high octane type blends.
Right.
Which we actually have a question about blends, so it's a good time that I brought that up. Almost amazing coincidence I brought that up. The second question about Robusta is, hi, do you use Robusta in any of your blends? If so, which ones? Thanks. Yeah, we do. We actually have a blend called High Octane at Coffee Bean Corral. Y'all don't have any pre-mixed blends at Current Crop.
We don't. When we
No.
first opened, we did carry the Coffee Bean Corral signature blends, but I got to do something a little bit different in New Orleans than we do at Coffee Bean Corral, because I have a micro lot section. At Coffee Bean Corral, if there's only one bag available of something, and something that won't be incredibly consistent, it's probably not a good idea to buy it and put it on line at Coffee Bean Corral. With the large number of customers, it'd only be a few that could be able to try it, and then they probably won't be able to get it again. So in New Orleans, I sent back all the Coffee Bean Corral blends and instead have a micro lot section. So sadly, no, we do not have the blends, but we do have some micro lots.
That's awesome. We should definitely talk about that in maybe an upcoming episode. I don't know. We might do that. Okay, great. So we do have it. It is the high octane blend. So check that out. And we'll have that linked in the show notes as well. And then our final question about Robusta is a bit more philosophical, a bit more about the Robusta coffee itself. And it says, I'm interested in finding the highest quality Robusta in the world. What is the highest quality Robusta you sell, and can you tell me a little bit about it?
Well, out of the few that Coffee Bean Corral has carried over the past few years, we've had a Mexican Robusta, Guatemalan Robusta, Vietnam Robusta, and the India Cherry Natural Robusta. Out of all of those, I think the one from Vietnam is the best one. It actually, instead of just being incredibly harsh and just that Robusta taste that you always get, the one from Vietnam actually had some tasting notes. And I definitely preferred it. We had customers coming in to Current Crop specifically for that Robusta coffee. So when we're able to get that one back in, from the ones that we have in inventory, that's the one I would go with. But hopefully in the next 5 or 10 years, specialty grade Robusta coffees will be everywhere. That's the goal. And that's really, for a couple of reasons, that's kind of the cutting edge of what's happening with coffee agriculture. And because the Robusta plants are so hardy, they can stand up to so many different conditions that Arabica plants just cannot thrive in. And so, as things change globally, the Arabicas are harder and harder to keep healthy, and the Robustas are just they're made of tougher stuff. And so if we can best of all the worlds have Robusta plants that have that extra jolt of caffeine and also have amazing tasting notes, man, that would be amazing. We'll be set.
I know, we'll be set. We can't wait. We're rooting for this. And so if you're out there growing Robustas, you're doing God's work, all right? Our salute to you guys, and make it happen. We're big fans of that idea. So anyway, but that's awesome. And so we've talked before, and you've mentioned it a little bit about Q grading, and you're a certified Q grader. Well, what does that mean?
Well, specialty grade coffee is scored on a point system from 0 to 100, sort of like a test in school. So you flunk coffee sometimes. I do. It's very sad. But all specialty grade coffee scores at least above an 80. So when I was
not a specialty grade student.
So when I first got into quality with Coffee Bean Corral, I took a class in Oakland at the Crown, a Q Essentials course, and really tried to figure out how to taste and identify quality coffee. Because when you are buying coffee, you can get many samples from all around the world that you think are great or you think are horrible, but to be able to determine what specifically about each of those coffees changes it quality-wise is important. Can you look at these beans and pick the beans that are defective, that are going to taint the way the cup tastes? So I sort of tried to learn as much as I could about what all of these things taste like. So I'll go through and, at Coffee Bean Corral, there's, 130 coffees. A good 60-70% of those coffees, we try to get the same, the newer crop every year when it's available, so we can stay consistent. So what I try to do, I'll get pre-shipment samples from the farm. So before all the coffee is put on the container to go across the ocean, I'll receive a pre-shipment sample. So I'll roast that coffee, evaluate that coffee up against the current offering that we have. So I'll make sure it's still specialty grade coffee, but I'll also make sure that the newer crop that's coming in is the same or better quality-wise, taste-wise than it was the year before. And sometimes it is a lot better, sometimes it's the same, and sadly sometimes it's quite a bit lower. It really just depends on what's happening in that region or on that farm. Many different things can change throughout the course of a harvest period to change up the way that coffee tastes. It could be something as easy as rainfall. The amount of rainfall. Was there a drought happening that year where the coffee tree is not able to get the rainfall that they need to grow? So I go through and evaluate all different types of coffee and score coffee for Coffee Bean Corral, and farmers come to the shop in New Orleans and bring me some coffees to see
That's so awesome.
What it scores. It gives me a chance to taste other coffees that I've never had before, which I enjoy very much.
Yeah, people just bringing me coffee. That's the dream. Please drink this coffee.
Right. Yeah.
Well, awesome. We'll talk some more about that and kind of your story on how to get that in a future episode, how she became a curator. In a future episode, we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, hope you all enjoyed that. If you have any questions at all, email them to questions@riypod.com. Roast it yourself pod, riypod.com. questions@riypod.com. And we'll feature them, and let us know if we have permission to use your name, because we'd love to do that and give you a specific shout out when we answer your question. But in the meantime, I hope you all enjoyed this, learned something about Robusta coffee, and happy roasting.
Happy roasting.